great, amazing morning to you. Rise and shine up and at 'em. It is an awesome new day. I am amazing, as I pray that you are. I pray that's right where and how we met you on this morning. In an amazing state of gratitude, in an humble spirit of progress and excitement and positivity for this beautiful new day that we are embarking upon right here on WHPS TV 33, or whether you're watching us on Comcast 91 or Roku or streaming live, however you got here, thank you, because we know that you want to be a part of the conversation, and we don't take that for granted. I am your host on today. I'm Collette. I do my curtsy. I'm curtsying, you guys. I'm curtsying because, you know, that's important to me. That's how I show respect and reverence towards you, because I understand what it means to be respectful. I know that you can be anywhere, doing anything, watching anything, as you are preparing our young people to start this awesome new day. Please tell them good morning for us. Hug them, kiss them, give them positive energy, encourage them on this morning. If you're in the car with them and you're listening to us, please make sure that you pay them some attention. When they don't let them get out the car without speaking a kind word. Give them a hug. Let them know that you love them. If you all are walking right now, hold their hand. Maybe swing it a little and let them know that you're there for them and they're comforted and reassured that guess what? I got you. So when they get ready to go into this educational environment, when they get ready to be presented with the information that you want them to ingest and to process, to be able to regurgitate, you want them to be whole. You want them to be as complete as they can be so that they can focus on the issue at hand, which is their education. So that is my prayer for all of them this morning, and safe travels to all of you. If you're walking at the bus stops, please, you all, pay attention to our young people. Don't let that just be something in your peripheral that you see a young person and you're not taking the time to watch them get to where they need to go. That's important. That's the ownership that we have to have in raising our young people and being a part of their lives and this our community. That's what this is about. And I'm going to continue the conversation on yesterday. I believe that we engaged in a really awesome dialogue on yesterday because I really wanted us to get to the real issue. And so we started. I thought that I was going to end on last week with what it looked like for the homegoing services of our own Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, until I got to the eulogy given by Reverend Jasper Williams out of Salem Baptist in Atlanta, and in which, and again, as I said it to you all yesterday, I don't believe that the conversation that he was trying to present was inappropriate. I believe it just wasn't the platform to do it. Specifically as it pertains to his comments that black women can't raise black boys to be men, as our own Queen of Soul and perhaps her circle of influence and her family alike helped to raise her 4 sons. And I asked us, based on the piece that Miss Juliana Malveaux, who was the lead economist, presented, black men, where are you? Why didn't you stand up? Why didn't you? Where are you when Jasper Williams insulted black women and Aretha Franklin? What happened, black men? And so I wanted to ask us yesterday, what happened? What has happened to us in the evolution of coming out of emancipation and the desire to make our families whole, because we had a conscious choice then. We knew based on the scenarios and what it looked like that we would only be whole by having a complete family. And so go throughout the years and throughout what we've experienced, and we kept it together for whatever reason. You've heard the mothers say, well, you know, my mother told me to make sure a good man, get you a good man. Well, a good man is defined by a man who had a job and could take care of his family. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. If for that time that is what it was, and that's a great trait, then you use that as a part of your processing and your repertoire if you are addressing what it looks like to be able to have a life mate and start a family. I share with you all my questioning my mother and asking, and I so love my parents and their transparency because it's allowed all of us to grow and be better, that, hey, when it was time for you to date and you're becoming a woman, did you use the examples in your household, and did your mother speak with you about how to identify a man and what that looked like for you so that you, A, would know what best suited you because you had an understanding of you, and then how you could then begin to foster a life relationship with someone? And my mother was very honest and said no. And so I believe that most of us, that is the case. No, because we don't have a truthful understanding of ourselves. And so I believe that that's what it really boiled down to. That yes, there's a level of accountability that I'm asking black men. I'm asking you all to explain to us on today, where are you? Why are you absent from these households? Why are you absent from the lives of your children? I need to know that. I believe we need to know that. We need a tangible reason as to why you're not there to allow them to grow into the young people that they need to be. And then one of our callers was so eloquent in the conversation that guess what? He's aware, and we all know, two-parent homes are still creating dysfunctional young people. And so with all that being equal, and I understand all of it, and it will play its part, I guess I really go back to our understanding of ourselves. To thine own self be true. And how many of us take the time to really understand who we are, to take the quietness and say, okay, I want to understand the essence of who I am. Why I do what I do, why I believe what I believe. Where did that come from? Who am I? And so I shared with you, I've had multiple light bulb moments. I share with you the importance of the validation of parents to their children, specifically dads to their daughters. Because I'm a woman, I can only speak on that. I know the role that dads play in sons' lives because I saw the impact of my dad on my brother's life, and I shared with you, and I've shared with you. I can imagine the feelings that my mother had when my brother asked, could he go and live with my dad? And so she agreed that she allowed her son, and I believe at that time he was maybe, what, 5th or 6th grade, to go and live with my dad that was in a whole nother state. And that she agreed to that. It wasn't about whatever their challenges were as adults that I'm going to allow my son to have an experience with his father. That is what he asked for, and so I'm going to give that to him. And I presented with you all yesterday that I couldn't imagine him being any more of a well-equipped man. My brother knew how to do everything. Cook, sew, clean. I share with you the experience about us going to the grocery store as he came to send me off to college, and I'm sitting there stuck in the onset of the building with the cart because I didn't know what to do. And he fell out laughing because I didn't know what to do. And I shared with him, my mother had done all that. I didn't grow up in those scenarios where I had to figure those things out. All I had to do was figure out school, be the best I could be, learned. I didn't have to focus on a lot of those challenges. And I understand that, and I don't take that for granted. And I appreciate the sacrifice. And I tell her that all the time. I appreciate the sacrifice and how she raised me and contribute to the growth of her son, my brother. But I was conscious at an early age of the role that my dad played in my life. And so I was a young person at 10 years old. If they were arguing because my brother didn't do well in school, then my mother would wake me up so I could calm my dad down, so I could have a conversation, and I was 10. And so I believe that inherently I grew to believe that I had to have all the answers. I had to have the information. I had to be the calm one. I had to be the strategic one. I had to be the adult. I had to make the sacrifices to make the decisions that matter to keep our family as best intact at that time as you can define it to be. And so therefore, when I was growing up in relation of understanding men, I didn't have the tools to determine how to make those things work, other than if I'm the best, if I can do more, if I can be everything to him, then he'll validate me. But that was a child in me looking for validation from my dad. And so then I was conscious enough to say, in the truthfulness of it is that Collette, the real adult relationships that you've had in your life, you've been saving men. So you attract broken men and you fix them. You fix it, you are a fixer. You save them, you fix it, and then you're waiting for this reward of admiration and loyalty and companionship and commitment. And when they consistently show their humanness, because who I've created them to be is not who they are, and so they can't live in the facade forever, when the truth of them finally shows up, oh wow, now I'm disappointed. Because I believe that they wanted to be who I saw them to be. You wanted to be an entrepreneur. You wanted to have your own company. You wanted to be a committed family man. You wanted to have a great blended family with real opportunities to focus on the children. The things that I created. You wanted to be all those things until you finally realized that I can't. because I don't believe that I'm enough. And so that I had to understand was not my issue, but I had to be conscious of how and why I do what I do. You all realize that the energy that you put out is the energy that you give back. That's what you attract back to you. It is a mirror. So you need to look at the relationships that you're in now, and that goes across the line for all types of relationships. Friendships, love relationships, sisterships, brotherships, whatever it looks like, to be able to understand why you do what you do, because it is a mirror. You attract to you who you are at that point. And so in order to make better decisions, because my mother asked the other day, well, how do we make it better? Well, you make it better by dealing with the truths of where you are broken. And until you realize where you are broken, you can never adequately address issues to have successful relationships. And the bigger part about that is in the brokenness, when you learn to articulate it, that people have to respect it. Because you might not like it, but it is my truth. And so I speak my truth. I don't muffle my truth. And so many times, black women have been so beat down, so oppressed, so objectified on every angle, external, internal, families, communities alike, that we learn to be quiet and we suffer in silence. And we just take it. And so that's why the majority of the churches are 90%, 95% women, because we've been led to believe that the relief that we will get is when we die. And then that is when we'll get the justification of us being whole and we can be at rest. Because we change who we are for the scenario to keep the peace, to lessen our value, to lessen our roles, and the truth about how people should respect us, as Aretha said. I'm going to teach you how to treat me. And realize that the scenarios that we get in, I was having a conversation with my sister, cousin, great and amazing morning to you, Maria, and I appreciate the real conversations that we had, but one of the dynamics was talking about relationships, and I had to share with my relationship that in the midst of what I was doing for over 2 years with a man that was fighting with the mother of his 3 children that he had never married, but trying to keep a whole dynamic going on and a cohesive group together going on, because she stopped allowing him to see the children because I came into the picture. And then once I went through, and in the midst of everything that he could probably say that she was, and that I knew that there was always 2 sides to every story, but in the midst of everything, he ultimately still listened to her and presented action that was detrimental to me. And I shared that with you all. That's why I have a PPO, and that's what the situation is, because you chose to listen to someone after all that I showed you that I am. And the truthfulness of everything that I am, and my family and my life and my commitment to you, that you still turned on me for someone who was allegedly so bad to you, allegedly someone who didn't bring in her part of the household, her part of the family, let you do all the work, let you take care of the children. All the things that you talked about were so negative, you went right back to it because that's all you know. You all follow me this morning? This is our Truth and Transparency Friday. Let me just say that. Yesterday, the topic was pulpit pimping. And so, and on all the lines of letting I see you all, we can get into that. But I want us to know that there are adverse impacts and effects on our children specifically. We're all grown children. That's who we are. Sometimes our mentalities and what we do, even in our 40s and 50s and 60s, are that of 15 and 18 and 12-year-olds. Because we've never dealt with the real issues that have brought us to where we are. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to a clip. I want us to start off with a clip. It's an Oprah clip that talks about children, raising children, specifically boys, to the point of yesterday. And then I'm going to go to the lines, and we're going to have a conversation. So happy to be with you this morning. Let's take a look at the clip.
Jordan and Caden are Tara's sons. Jordan, how do you feel when your mom tries to teach you about being a man? Tell her.
To be completely honest, she can't. Because she is a woman.
Yeah.
She can teach me what I've got in my 21 years here. She can teach me how to love.
Yeah.
But only my father can teach me how to be a father. Only my father can teach me how to be a husband. She can't do that. And actually listening and taking in everything that I just heard.
Yeah.
I've come to the revelation that I spent my whole life trying to not be my father.
Yeah.
And I actually would like to look to you two for advice, and you as well, because I don't know what that means. You know, I don't know if that's a good thing or if that's a bad thing, but I spent my whole life trying to not be somebody instead of trying to be somebody.
Wow.
Now that I can't be that person, like, I don't
Beautiful.
know who to
Who
be.
you are. Beautiful.
That's
Beautiful.
fantastic.
Beautiful. Mom, take your hands off of it.
Let's
That
acknowledge
was a
how powerful
revelation.
that is.
Yeah.
Let's acknowledge how powerful that
That
is.
just came. Well, two things. First, can I talk to Mom for a moment? Because she made the classic mother mistake, which is focusing on what you don't want. I don't want the streets to get him. I don't want the drugs to get him. I don't want him to do this. But did you ever affirm to him what you did want for him? I want you to feel good about yourself. I want you to feel strong. You may have said it, but mother, you put the don't wants into the energy. And that's the thing that we don't understand as mothers, that what you say and how you hold it. This young man, my son, taught me something very powerful when he was sitting inside the prison. When he said to me, you always told me what I shouldn't do. You never told me what I could do. He said, you always told me what to think, so that when I thought on my own, you made me wrong for it. He said that to me, and I said, well, how can I do better now? And he said, listen and be my friend. I was so afraid he was going to fail till I forgot to affirm his success.
Whoa.
Hallelujah, Peter.
Wow. That's
Beloved,
so good.
you, don't try not to be like your father.
Yeah.
Give yourself permission to be who you are, to make mistakes, to grow from those mistakes, and find you a man that you can watch. Find a man.
Growing up, that's what I've always done.
Yeah.
I've always had like one or two teachers that I always just looked up to, whether it was in middle school or high school, because I never had that. I never had a person, a man in the house to look up to. So I personally, I think it worked out for me because the people I were looking up to were always good role models.
Yeah.
So that within itself, I believe, helped me become the man who I am today.
So what I want you to do is turn to your mom and tell her 3 things that you really appreciate about what she's given you as a mom. Tell her 3 things I really appreciate.
First and foremost, just the love. Always being there for me. I'll count that as one by itself. My little brother right here. That's the second thing right here. This is my boy right here. Third thing is, I mean, it sounds kind of cliche, but the fact that we're all here, we're all breathing. The fact that she nurtured me, like you guys said.
Tell her that you nurtured me.
You nurtured me. You brought me into this world. I'm still here. I'm living. I'm breathing. I'm not in the streets. I'm not into drugs. I'm doing this. And that's all you.
Did you all get that? I'm so thankful that was a life class with Oprah Winfrey and Ayanna Van Zant. And did you get it? Sometimes I believe that women spend so much time, and what did the young man say? You spend so much time in the conversation, and I can imagine in the household of what your dad ain't, what you not gonna be, how this was, what he don't do right, that blah, blah, blah. What did the young man say? I don't know who to be. I don't know who to be. You constantly tell me who I shouldn't be and what characteristics I shouldn't model, but no one is showing me who I'm supposed to be. And so maybe at that point that if we can just learn to appreciate what you bring to the table as a woman. Because so many times in women, and don't you hear the conversations, I got to be the mom and the dad. No, maybe you just be the mom. Just be the best mom that you can be. And then you work to identify those other areas where you can get the support that you need. Because maybe that's the challenge in and of itself, is that you're trying to do too much. And so if you just focus on the mom, which you all are doing, and I commend everyone. Mothers who are raising children by themselves, fathers who are raising children by themselves. I commend you all. No judgment, no any of that. But maybe it'll lessen the burdens and the stresses that if you just say, this is all I can do, and this is all of who I'm trying to be, and trying to understand who you are, and to help you to deal with your challenges as we all grow together. Let me take a call. I appreciate that. I appreciate your patience. Great, amazing morning to you.
Great, amazing morning to you.
Thank you.
Powerful, powerful sisters you just let us view. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
My thing was always to serve, protect. I feel like myself as a mother and a woman and in a relationship, I was the type of person that wanted to overprotect. My maternal instincts turned on where I wanted to be the mother to the man and the child.
Right.
And I needed to work on myself. I needed to love, serve, and protect myself. And so I ran into barriers and issues with that because I needed to look deep within myself and how to be stress-free, sane, controlled, and make myself feel whole.
Yes.
And I'm so proud of my son, and I'm thankful for the father because now my son's a father who has custody of his son.
Yes.
And he's 23 and the baby's 3, and he's doing an excellent job. And my son and I sat down and we had that heart-to-heart talk, and I had to, stop being so overbearing because his father kept saying, you mothered him to death.
Right.
You smothered his mother,
Yeah.
So I had to step back, and my son and I had sat down, and he has taught me so much and relieved me of so much stress and allowed me to be free.
Yeah.
And it's just so phenomenal. It's just wonderful how things turn around when you learn to look at yourself and know that you're a work in progress every day, just like any and everybody else.
Yes.
And we collectively, the three of us work together for the good of our son, and we encourage, and we're best friends because we no longer are in a relationship, but we are parents that share the same ideas and the love and support for that one son that we have. And it's a beautiful thing now.
It
and
is.
We learn from each other, and we encourage, and the strength and the encouragement just grows.
Yeah.
And it explodes into positive growth.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful for today because now I'm learning from both of them, and we together collectively are learning and helping each other.
Yes. Thank you so
emotionally
much.
And spiritually.
Yes. Thank you so much for your transparency. And I want everyone to understand that in what she just shared, did you get the fact that she had a relationship with her son's father? And that even though that relationship as adults didn't work, they absolutely owned and understood and stayed committed to who they needed to be to raise their son. And so I'm asking us, and I know, and I'm just going to say this, and I don't want, that's fine, whatever comes of it. It's a novelty now to be in a relationship that produces a child. Do you hear what I just said? It's a novelty to actually have a relationship. I mean, you are in a relationship. This is a person that you are building, and you're in a relationship. This is not just because I saw you on Instagram, or I met you at the club, or you were walking down the street, or I saw you in the car and I pulled you over. Not that. I'm talking about people who have connected and wanted to grow together and believe that they were equipped to have a lasting experience with each other. And the maturity in that, when they realize that, guess what? Maybe we weren't best equipped for each other. Maybe I'm just not the best that I need to be for me, that I need to be with you. Whatever that situation is, they were able to sever that part, but still keep the united efforts in raising their child. So I need to ask us right now, where did the disconnect happen? Because we don't have relationships anymore. And I honestly believe that women who have children by men want a relationship. I don't believe that women just arbitrarily have babies just to have babies to not have a relationship. We don't have to. With everything that's happening in modern science and everything that's going on, a woman does not have to have a baby unless she wants to. And I'm not talking about terminating the pregnancy. I'm talking about you could do adoption. You could do all kinds of stuff. Or take medicine that you don't have to get pregnant. And that's what I'm talking about. So I just want to, in the truthfulness of where we are right now, I want us to think, do you actually think that the women, however now people are meeting each other, that they don't want a relationship with a man? But they're astute enough to know that if my sexuality gets his attention, that will be enough to try to create something with him. Do you all get that? And men, you all play on that. You play on, either I'm going to show what I got, or I'm going to talk a good game, or I'm going to show and I'm going to talk, and I'm going to floss to get her attention. And then what? Because I believe that men, and I'm going to say it, I don't believe that most men value women. Black men.
Well,
I'm just going to say that.
I believe that we all come with insecurity and baggages, and until we can clean the slates and stay in our lane and our purpose, then we're going to fail in a relationship because neither one of us are ready, because I can't handle your baggage for you, and you can't handle my insecurity or baggages for me. That's self-interest. That's self-love that you have to develop, and something that you have to work on.
Yes.
Self.
To thine own self be true.
Yes.
But the majority of us are in and have created quote-unquote relationships where we don't know who we are. We don't understand why we do what we do. We put the ownership on someone else to have the answers and make us whole and make us happy.
That's right.
And then when all of it falls apart or the person doesn't do what you expect them to do because you haven't articulated the truths of that, then it's their fault, and then you want to get rid of them. And then you got children.
That's right.
Or you're listening to everybody else, and the children are suffering. We're going to have the real talk on today. And I know you guys are out there listening. I need the men who call in here every Thursday and Friday. I need you all to step up and call up in here, and you tell us, you need to explain. Help me understand why we're in the situation that we're in. Because the man of yesterday, the man of the 60s and the 70s, and that man, they had families. They understood that, guess what? I'm going to marry you, and especially if the woman got pregnant, you got married, and you had a family, and that's what you did. Now, that doesn't mean you didn't have all this other stuff going on, and I'm not saying that everybody did, but if you did, you kept that where it was, and you still stay committed to your family. That's what you did. And everybody might have known it, but you weren't out that house. You were right there in that house with your family. But something happened, and I get it, and don't tell me everybody wants to talk about the welfare and all that stuff. Okay, and the men can't work. Okay, I understand all of that. But how do we get to a point where we're letting society dictate what we do for ourselves and to ourselves in our own households? And that society dictate the value of a man. I keep trying to tell us that all the time. If you keep putting your value on, Steve Harvey tried to say something about it, and I'll pull up the clip. What did he say? It's 3 Ps. That he can provide, protect, and there was another P. And that's how a man is socialized. So he'll look at you and size you up and figure out if he can provide for you, if he can protect you, and then it was one other thing. And if he feels that he is inadequate in any of those ways, then he doesn't approach you. And then that's what it is. But we're in a day and age where women are getting it. Women are educated. They're going to college. They're starting businesses. They're not the traditional women of yesterday who didn't have the opportunities to maximize. They're successful in their own right. So you'll shy away from the woman who's just created a life for herself because that's all she can do. People look at me. Well, what can I do for you? What does that mean? I'm 46 years old. Where did you expect to find me at? Where was I supposed to be at 46? Was I not supposed to own stuff? Was I not supposed to have my own? I mean, are you serious right now? Was I supposed to just wait for you to maybe one day find me and then make my life better? Like, is that what you think this is? I'm asking,
And
where does all of this come from? I appreciate your transparency this
oh,
morning.
I just wanted to add
Yes.
another excuse is that the fact that mothers are overburdened to the point that they baby the male,
Yes.
and so when he grows up, he's looking for his mother. So every other woman is supposed to just sit at home and take care of him.
Yes.
She does all the work. She does all the providing. The roles have switched where they're looking for that mother
Yes.
to take care of them.
Yes.
And that's not good.
Yes.
Because now they think they these new wave pimps where they don't have to do nothing but sit in front of the TV and play whatever those games are, or whatever.
Yes.
They have no goals, no potentials, but they think that that woman's supposed to be their mother and just provide and take care of them in all needs.
Great
And
point.
That's not good either. I think that might have a problem with some of the men not being more successful and having any potentials in life.
I totally agree. And you see it all day long.
That's
You see it all day long. You see guys dropping the woman off at her job. You riding around in her car. You playing with your friends. Y'all playing video games. Y'all kicking it, whatever it is you do. When it's time for her to get off work, you go pick her up. Then she's supposed to go make the dinner and then get the kids, take care of the kids from school and do all that stuff. But you still want the title as the man. You want to make all the decisions. And when it's payday, you go pick her up and help her get her check. And you make sure that you get the money and you are the person that makes all the decisions in the house, but you're not bringing anything to the table other than the male, just the male body and the testosterone and your appendage. That's what you have attached, and that's what you bring to the table. And then you get mad if someone tries to question you on it. Or when you say, you want to question my manhood. But stay there. But then the women raise their daughters. So you coddle your sons and you raise your daughters. So you raise your daughters to know just that. I got to go out here. I got to make it by any means necessary. I got to work. I got to sacrifice. I can have these children. I got to take care of them myself. I don't have to depend on the daddy because I'm supposed to do this everything. And so we teach the daughters to be super women. Then we teach the sons that they don't have to do anything but be coddled and taken care of. And then we wonder why there's a dysfunction. And then that's why your daughter can't bring nobody home. And then your son got a whole bunch of women. And I'm just asking. And then we create children. So then you want your children to be successful. Like, how does that work with the children? Let me get the callers in because we're rolling today. We're going to have the conversations today, whether you like it or not. That's what we're going to do. All right? So I appreciate your call. I'm going to go to the line. Thanks for your patience. Great, amazing morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm 77.
Okay.
I was born in 1940.
Yes.
So I lived that period when there was a disconnect and when it happened, and I studied to find out why it happened. And what I found was you got to have money to provide a shelter, food, and mobility and et cetera.
Okay.
When I came to Detroit in 1963, there were 370,000 manufacturing in Detroit City.
Okay.
There were 3,628 wholesale firms.
Okay.
There were 14,206 retail.
Okay.
That was in 1963.
Okay, that was back then, 63.
Now,
okay.
In 2002, I did every 10 years, there was a constantly decrease in those categories of work.
Okay.
And when I ended my count, in 2002, we only had 647 manufacturers.
Okay, and then stay there. And that's just, you just looked at that industry. So solely just for manufacturing.
All the economy. I said manufacturing, wholesale, and retail.
Okay.
We lost between 1962 and 2002, 80.9% of manufacturing, 83.2% of wholesale firms, 84.7% retail. Now, I looked at the Detroit News, and they gave a count in 1977, said 278 plants went to Macomb County, 80 went to Oakland, and 151 went to Wayne County to make suburbs, 125 suburbs around us.
Okay.
And the federal government did not allow blacks who was coming to Detroit, like I came to Detroit at that time, to get houses out there where our jobs was leaving.
Okay, so stay there 1 second for me, Brother Tyrone. Stay there. Stay right there for 1 second. So based on stay there. So based on all this data that you're providing, are you suggesting that that's a direct correlation to how black men are parenting their children in the household, or not parenting the children in the household?
Have a household if you ain't got no money. So
because you're more than a paycheck.
No, here's what I did, Collette, an audience. I said, how many was working? As the factories left, in 1970, we thought it was good time. Only 52.1% of Detroiters of working age 16 to 64 was working. That means we was in a depression when I thought at that time, because I was living here, I thought it was good time. Then I looked at 1980, only 45%. 1990, only 40%. 2000, only 37%.
Okay.
2010, only 20% of those who was working age had a job. Then I seen something else happen. I seen the federal government in 1965 pass the Immigration and Nationality Act.
Okay.
They brought when you go all through our neighborhood,
okay,
you pay for gas to an immigrant. Used to be all black. See, I remember all black was doing that.
Okay.
So I lived it. But I was a man who said, let me look a little bit deeper than just what I see in my eyes. I believe that Martha Jean, the queen, talked about men that just having a good time. Let me study this thing. So I looked and seen, Collette, that in the neighborhoods, they took the jobs.
Okay, but Brother Tyrone, wait a minute. I gotta stay right there. So again, I'm asking you, are you then suggesting that the reason why black men are not raising their children and in their households is because of a job? That is the reason why black men have disconnected with their families and their children. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes. Let me give you this. You go identify with this now.
Maybe.
You say correlation between facts.
No,
in 1965, 48,750 women was on welfare.
Okay.
In 1975, 1970, 91,000.
Okay.
Then in 5 years, 200. That's 1975. 228,500. As the factories left, as the immigrants come in, there was no job, so she had to go on welfare, and they had a policy that if let me tell you how I had to do it. I was organizing at that time. they put me out the plant and put on my Social Security number. I couldn't get a job. So the lady I had the baby by, I couldn't marry her. I stayed there in the house, but I couldn't marry her because if I married her, she couldn't get welfare and I couldn't get a job. So I ain't talking about what I heard, I lived it.
Now, hear me, Brother Tyrone, and Brother Tyrone, and I appreciate your transparency in telling your story, absolutely. And I believe, and I'm going to disagree with you only because I believe that is just one component. That did not define, wait 1 second, please. That didn't define what skills and tools that you could still sow into your children because you didn't have a job. And so I say that because my dad was disabled since the time I was 2, okay? He was disabled from being a police officer for the city of Detroit. He couldn't work, but that doesn't mean that he didn't sow into his children. We still read together. We still talked together. We still dreamed together, planned together. He was an active part in the decisions in our lives. I didn't have him in the household, but he was still playing the role of trying to provide some guidance in the midst of his challenges with my mother. And and let me just hold on. And money wasn't the issue. And I'm so thankful. I tell my mother, I'm so thankful because my mother, as an educator, took care of it. She took care of it. And she didn't lessen who he was to engage with us because of money. Now, so I'm just saying I experienced a dad not having money, and that did not stop him from engaging and trying to help raise his children. So that's why I asked you. I get what you're saying about hold on. I get what you're saying about the statistics and all that kind of stuff, but you can't tell me that is the great cause for why black men weren't still raising their boys. You didn't hear that young man in that clip say anything about money. He said he didn't have an example of what it was to be a man because there was no man around. And he had to go find role models at his school or whatever the case may be. So I personally believe that is not, we're not telling the truth here. That's one point, that's one part of it. So tell me, if that's the case, back in the day in slavery times, everybody worked on the same plantation. It wasn't there any money that they had from themselves, but that wasn't a factor for how they communicated together and tried to create communities and raise children. So
So let me say that, ask you this. I bet you heard that song. Daddy was a rolling stone. Everything he had it on. Well, that song came from the fact of the group, not an individual like myself, but from the group of black men. We were run out of the house with a no-knock law. A no-knock law, if the woman, all the factories was leaving, all the jobs was leaving, just trying to use your imagination now, and with all that leaving, men went unemployed. So the women went on welfare, but if the man was in the house, she lost the thing. That's how they ran the black man or the government. Not that the black man was lazy. You heard the song, Daddy was a rolling stone. I'm talking about black men.
The actual song says Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And when he died, all he left us was alone. I know all about that too. All I'm saying is I am not going to believe that our black men have depleted their significance into raising children just because you weren't in a household.
My history, each generation stands on the shoulders of the previous generation. But what's bad in the black community, and you demonstrated this morning, you're not listening to me. I'm living it, but I was a fortunate revolutionary that studied it at the same time, not like the average man. I'm not just the average man. That's how I can get these figures with you and with any college professors who's talking about what happened in the black community. They don't know what happened in the black community because they didn't live it and they never studied it.
But Brother Tyrone, it's not that I'm not listening to you. You just have a propensity at times because people don't agree with you. Then you want to assassinate their position, and you're not necessarily open to a different angle because it's my experience. So as I stated in our onset, I totally honor what you bring to the table, the facts, your truths, your transparencies, which you then determine, make the decisions that you made in your life and in your families, and then you try to put that as a whole component on why the community has done what it's done. And so I was asking you again, is that all that you're saying?
And couldn't get no job when they come out.
Okay, well this is what we're gonna do. So everybody, we're gonna leave it right there because we're about to take a break. So we're about to take a break. So everyone is said right there. So Brother Tyrone's position is
I'm gonna get off and let somebody else see if
absolutely
people know about what happened.
Okay, thank you. So as Brother Tyrone is proposing to us today, that the reason why black men aren't in the homes and aren't actively raising their children is because there are no jobs. That's what Brother Tyrone says. So as of this day, because there were no jobs back then, and we try to, I don't know if y'all are saying that there are no jobs right now, but all of your ownership as a parent and as a man to your child went out the window because you couldn't have a job. I want you to stay right there. All the lines are lit. I'm going to make sure I get everybody else in. We're about to hit the top of the hour because we're going to continue this conversation. You know, it's symptoms versus issues. We're going to get to the truth of it. We're going to pull the layers back. I know it's like a scab. You got a wound and it has a scab on it. Well, we're just picking it away. We're going to just pull it off, right? That's the transparency that we're going to have on today. Don't go anywhere. More coffee and conversation after the break.